She went back to bed only to find the big sister next door gone and the door mysteriously wide open, scaring the girl to death. She flicked on the flashlight, terror written all over her face, just as she heard footsteps. The girl hurriedly buried herself under the covers, but it was all in vain. Suddenly, her blanket was pulled away as if by some mysterious force, zooming out with a swift whoosh, and clearly, the sudden turn of events left both girls utterly dumbstruck. They exclaimed that the bed was still shaking, and the younger sister had a bite on her shoulder. Peggy saw this and thought, oh boy, I bet. When she turned on the light, the room looked normal again, and Peggy found the girls' Ouija board under the bed, thinking they must have gone overboard with their game. Just as she was about to call them, the bed suddenly slammed against the door, locking the three in the bedroom, leaving them momentarily stunned. She dashed out of the room with her two little buddies, sprinting to her friend next door, insisting there's definitely something in her house. Her friend's husband came to tell Peggy that he just checked her house, and aside from it feeling a bit unseasonably chilly, there was nothing else strange going on. Just then, a police car slowly pulled up to Peggy's house, and the husband mentioned he called the cops, suspecting someone was pranking Peggy's family, but after a thorough investigation, they found nothing out of the ordinary. Just as they were getting ready to leave, a sound of furniture moving came from upstairs, and everyone panicked. They followed the sound cautiously until the female officer stopped at the wall corner. Clearly both detectives got spooked and didn't dare to investigate further. They could only say they'd report back, and Peggy was in disbelief at how they brushed it off. The female officer said this was beyond their capabilities. Meanwhile, the medium Lorraine was at home with her daughter making crafts when suddenly she heard a black voice. She heard a black voice, an indication that the presence of something dark was lurking in her home, always by her side. She stood staring blankly down the hall as Lorraine cautiously walked to the other end of the corridor. With great effort, she stepped into her husband's office, only to discover that the fierce-looking nun had vanished, leaving a painting on the wall. What was peculiar? The painting seemed very lifelike in the dark, its eyes glimmering mysteriously. Lorraine turned on the lamp, relieving some of the scary atmosphere. Just then, the tape recorder behind her suddenly started playing, and as Lorraine turned it off, the desk lamp went out by itself. The painting revealed its strange gaze once more, and Lorraine sensed something was off. Just as she tried to exit, the door slammed shut on its own. Then all the windows began slamming shut, and soon after, a shadow emerged from behind the painting, walking to the evil nun's portrait, shoving her into another space. She slowly got up and steadied herself, demanding to know who the figure was, but the evil nun remained silent. The nun merely raised her hand and pointed in a direction, indicating that the other side represented her physical form. Instead, she pointed somewhere else, revealing Ed standing there in confusion. He apologized to Lorraine, only to be pierced in the chest by a brick, making Lorraine sense something bad was ahead. Meanwhile, news of the strange events at Peggy's house spread. A local TV station got involved, seeing this as an unmissable hit. They even invited local mediums to help figure out what was happening and accidentally recorded the moment Janet got possessed. She claimed to be Bill Wilkins, who died on the living room sofa at the age of 72. When asked why they didn't want to leave, she responded, "Are you thinking of leaving? Sorry, there's simply no exit." In the blink of an eye, the night had descended upon us. The little boy was startled awake by something at the door, thinking it was the neighbor's dog wanting out, so he groggily went to open the door, only for the dog to turn into a giant. This scared the daylights out of him as the figure advanced slowly, prompting him to wake his mom in a panic. He yelled that a Hydra-like man had entered the house, and the neighbors, hearing the commotion, came down from upstairs, thinking the boy was just daydreaming. But then, Janet emerged stumbling out, letting out a piercing scream. A scream, a scream. One more scream. The little boy continued to shout. A few days later, a priest stowed away from America received a cry for help from London. They wanted the couple to come help investigate and confirm if it was real, so the church could get permission to assist the Peggers. If it turned out to be a farce, they hoped to stop it from escalating further. Hearing this, it decided to head to England immediately, but Lorraine didn't want hubby to get involved. She had a feeling something bad was going to happen, and was worried Ed gets hurt in London. However, Ed felt he had to go help, even though Lorraine sensed trouble. She said if it was fate, then that was just her bad luck. Lorraine realized she couldn't dissuade him and decided to go with the flow. Whatever came, they'd face it together. Soon after, the couple rushed to London, and without even a break, they headed straight for Peggy's house, only to discover that Peggy's house looked like it had been ransacked, with all the furniture destroyed, and Janet's room was filled with crosses. In fact, to prevent her daughter from returning, Peggy even locked the door. After going downstairs, Ed decided to ask Janet about Bill's background since he suspected the recordings might be Janet trying to use her falsetto. Before the interview, he had her sip water and hold it in her mouth to mute herself. Just as the recording began, The lights flickered, and suddenly the girl's voice turned into a grumpy old man's tone. He again detailed his story to Ed and the others, but when Ed asked why he didn't want to go to heaven, Bill was actually begging. "Please don't let me go. Don't let me go." And just like that, upon the completion of the instructions, the recording wrapped up as well.